Hi, my Once Upon a Springboard cast. So I'm making this video just to kind of go over some notes from last night's rehearsal since we we ran out of time. Um, so I'm going to start with just some general notes overall for everybody. And then also after that, we'll go through the actual show order for specific things for specific songs and groups and all of that jazz. But before we get into the notes, I just wanted to say, congratulations on running your show. Overall, I think our rehearsal went really well, especially considering that it was the first time we were able to have a full run through. We had to incorporate all the costumes, all the props, set changes, microphone changes, because I know that was a really big one, especially since there's a lot of people having to keep track of who they need to give their mic to for those that are using the RF mic. And then we also had a lot of people on lavs where we were trying to figure all that out. Um, and then all the costume changes, and then we had all the lighting and everything. So it was a huge rehearsal. And I just wanted to let y'all know I'm really proud of y'all for everything that we were able to accomplish. And again, I just wanted to say that overall, I think it went really well considering everything. Oh, also, this was also the first time that we were able to run through the whole show with instrumental tracks too. So I know that was another factor. Um, Another thing that was going through that rehearsal last night. So anyways, y'all have a great show. It's going to be great. But because last night was our first night going through the entire show, there's obviously some things we need to talk about just to smooth out and to get ready and a little cleaner for Saturday. Because we do have our final dress rehearsal on Saturday morning, and then, of course, your first show is at 2 p.m. and then your second show is at 6. So let's go ahead and get into some of our notes. I'm going to share my screen here. Um, just so you can see the document that I'm reading from. We'll just kind of go through this. I will include this document in the student access folder, and I'll also put a link to it in the email that goes out. But again, like I said, we're going to start with just some general notes here. Quiet backstage. I know everyone's super excited. There's so much going on, but we got to make sure that we're quiet backstage because we can hear conversations going on in the theater from what's happening backstage. So just make sure if you're going to talk at all, you do so in a whisper. Because we can hear you, and we don't want our audience to be distracted by that during the show. So please make sure that you're quiet backstage. Also, there are several of you who are on lav microphones. Um, please be mindful of that. Those most of the time, those get turned off pretty quickly after you exit the stage, but sometimes it takes a little while. So just make sure if you're on a lav microphone that you're not having a conversation before going on stage or directly right after, because chances are it may take a little while for those mics to get turned off. So just make sure, be mindful of that. Also, there's just a couple spots where y'all may have the RF and it may be turned on. So if you're in the wings and you've got the RF, don't have any conversations while that microphone is right there, because again, it might pick up something and we don't want our audience to be distracted by that. Um, okay, next, we don't need anybody hanging out in the runaround. So remember, the runaround is that back part where all of our props are stored, where y'all basically literally run around from room to room to get your entrances and exits onto the stage. The only time you should really be in the runaround is if you are going to grab your prop right before you go on stage, or if you are coming back from on stage to put your props back. So make sure that you're not hanging out there talking and just hanging out. So, anyways, if you're going to be hanging out, you need to do so in the room where your stuff is. And that's either blue or purple, depending on where your room assignment was. So again, please do not hang around backstage. There's a lot of different reasons for that. One of the main ones is people are running back and forth for quick changes. We've got crew members running around for set changes and things like that, and you could get trampled, and we don't want that to happen. We want everybody to be safe, and we don't want any injuries. So if you don't need to be back in the runaround, don't be back in the runaround. Um, Same thing with the wings. I know it's really tempting to want to watch the show because, y'all don't really get to see the entire show because you're backstage. But if you are not fixing to go right onto stage, then you don't need to be hanging out in the wings watching the show. Again, there are set moves going on. There are people running around for quick changes, and you're just going to be in the way. And you could potentially get hurt if a set rolls over your toes or if somebody's running to go on or off stage. So just make sure that you're not waiting in the wings unless you are right about to go on stage. Um, next thing is props. I know there's lots of props and there's lots of really, really cool things back there, but if it is not your prop, you do not need to touch it. Okay. And included in the props, I'm also talking about like the animal headbands and little costume accessories. I'm kind of including that under the prop umbrella. So, props or accessories, if they are not yours, you don't need to touch them, move them, or play with them because those people who those props belong to, they're depending on them to be in a certain spot. And if you moved them and those people can't find them, they can miss their cue to get on stage. They might not have their prop to take out on stage. So just please be mindful. If it's not your prop, don't touch it. Um, oh, I'm going to the next one, and then we'll go back to props. But there's a lot going on in this show, and I realize that. If you are not sure when you enter or where you enter in a number, um, find a buddy who's in that number with you and ask them. Someone who stands next to you, someone who's dancing around you, ask them. And the reason we're saying that is because our crew members are having to focus on a lot of things. They're having to move sets. They're having to make sure that microphones get where they're supposed to be. They're having to make sure y'all get where you're supposed to be. And if y'all are constantly going and asking them, hey, where am I supposed to be for this number? They may miss something that they're supposed to do for something else. So if you're not sure, rewatch your videos. Or ask a buddy who is in that particular number with you. Hey, where do we enter for this? And then they can tell you, and you'll be like, oh yeah. So just keep that in mind as well. But when in doubt, just watch your choreo videos because most likely it'll tell you in there where you're supposed to enter and exit from. Going back to props and accessories, when you are done with your props or animal headbands and things like that, please carefully put them back in the container that you found them. Please do not toss them. We had several complaints that students were taking like swords or mugs or cups or plates and just tossing them into whatever container that they thought they went to. That is a big no-no. Partially because those things can break very easily. But also in the theater, we could hear that stuff being tossed around, and some of that stuff fell on the concrete floor in the runaround and was bouncing around. So please do not do that. If you have a prop, and I know everybody feels like they're in a super hurry to go and get to the next thing, but I guarantee you, you will have time. Most of y'all do not have quick changes. So you will have time to put your prop back where you found it very carefully, not tossing it, but gently putting it back. A lot of these props are very fragile and expensive. And we don't want your parents to have to pay to have them replaced. So please just be very careful with those props and make sure that you put them back where you found them. That way you're able to find them for the next time you need them. Um, okay, here's a note for all of my people who are using the floater RF. And the floater RF is the one that is on the stand upstage right in the corner by the risers. That's the one that most of our soloists are using and passing back and forth. So if you have the floater mic and you don't have a designated person or another performer that you're supposed to pass it off to, um, please be sure that when you're done with your song, if you're not supposed to pass it off to a specific person, then you need to put it back on that stand so that whoever is in the next medley that needs it can get it from there. Because anyone who is not supposed to get it from a designated person needs to get it from that stand. And if it's not there, then we're going to have a lot of running around to do trying to find that mic. Unfortunately, that's what happened last night is the mic didn't always get put back where it was supposed to be. And so there was a little bit of panic trying to find that mic. Sorry, y'all. I realize I'm looking this way. I keep looking at my little picture of myself instead of directly at you at the camera. Sorry about that. I'll try to look at you at the camera. I just realized I was doing that. Anyways, back to the RF thing. Um, yeah, just please be sure to return it to that mic stand when you're done with it if you're not supposed to pass it off to another performer. Obviously, if you pass it off to another performer, just make sure you get it to them and so on. Um, okay, next little thing right here. At the end of a medley, once we're done with that medley, y'all are striking your final pose, people are applauding. There's going to be a silhouette, which basically the lights will dim a little bit into a silhouette. And once those lights dim, then y'all exit. If you can wait to move until that exit, then it'll keep that, that magic together and then you can leave once that happens. Um, there is at least one place where that will be different, and I believe that's during the Tangled medley. Excuse me, right after I see the light going into I Have a Dream. And the only reason that's a little different, it's for the vocalists. The vocalists in I See the Light need to put their mics back on the stand a little sooner than they normally would. And then the vocalists for I Have a Dream are going to have to come out earlier than they normally would in order to get to those microphones on time to get to their cue for their vocal parts. But as a general rule, um, after your medley or song, you want to wait for the silhouette before you go to the next thing. Like I said, the only exception is that Tangled thing, but everything else, make sure you freeze until the lights go down and then you can move. Okay, backstage. Only bottled water is allowed backstage. Now, bottled water can be in one of those, thermos little containers with a locking top. It cannot be in like a cup with a little plastic top and a straw. It can't be in anything that can knock over easily and spill. The reason we only allow water backstage is because, again, we have a lot of expensive props, but we also have a lot of expensive costumes back there. And in the past, we have had those things get ruined by a spilled drink or someone had Cheetos and they put their Cheeto fingers all over a costume. And sometimes that stuff happens by accident, but the reason we only allow water backstage is because of reasons like that. Is because in the past we've had some expensive items get ruined. Not only that, but spills and wrappers and things like that on the floor can cause people to slip and trip, and it becomes a hazard. So that's why we only allow bottled water backstage. Now, I know that after our dress rehearsal on Saturday, we'll have a lunch break before our show. And then after our first show, we'll have a dinner break before our final show. During those dinner breaks, you can have food, but they have to be in a designated room. We cannot have any food backstage. I will give more details about that in the email going out, but we will have a designated room. I believe it's the Orange Studio and also the lobby where you can eat snacks and food. If you have any snacks and things that you're bringing, for that day, we have to store it in those rooms and not backstage so that we don't spill anything on our costumes. So anyways, that's that. Oh, also, I just wanted to mention this. After rehearsal last night, there were a lot of crumbs and there was a lot of trash all over the floor in the blue room. And our stage crew had to stay after to clean up that mess. Now, with the only water allowed backstage issue, we shouldn't have an issue with like food trash backstage this weekend, but I understand that sometimes people have makeup removal wipes or things like that. If you're going to have anything back there that produces trash, please be sure to throw away your trash because otherwise we have to do it and it makes us very sad when we've already had to clean up a bunch of other stuff and then we go back in your dressing rooms and you have trash strewn everywhere. So please, if there is any trash that you have, please throw it away. But again, hopefully, because we're not having food and things backstage, we won't have any extra trash back there. But again, just be mindful of those things. Okay, I think that's all the general stuff. Oh, one other thing, and I forgot to include this on this list. Please make sure that you bring deodorant and you reapply it. Um, we're in closed quarters. We're running around a lot. We're dancing. We're getting sweaty, and it can get a little smelly backstage. So even if you don't think you need any extra deodorant, if you got a free moment, just reapply and make sure that you're not stinky because it can get pretty rough backstage. So again, just please be sure that you're applying deodorant on the regular basis backstage. Okay, now let's move into going through the show and just a few little notes going towards that. So we're going to start here. I hope you can see my cursor. Okay. Act one, uh, which is the overture and the opener. This is the part with Tinkerbell waking up the characters. My only note here, and this is something I forgot to tell Ellie. Ellie, there is a wand back there for you to use for Tinkerbell when you go and awaken the characters. It's back with the props in a little container with Madden's with her ribbon thing. There's a silver one and a gold one, and they have like star toppers on them. If you can use the gold one, I think that'll match your costume better. But, anyways, I forgot to tell you there is a wand back there for you to use for Tinkerbell. Um, okay, next, be our guest. Okay, middle high. I need y'all to check the timing on your choreo for the part. It's been years since we've had anybody here right before that, and we're obsessed. So remember, y'all are in those three lines, and you go, "We're obsessed." But right before then, y'all are doing like your little knee kick things, um, and then you do like a grapevine turn thing. We just need to check the timing on that. So if y'all can just rewatch that video, I have put a link in the document right here to that video just to check the timing on that. Not everybody was going at the same time and it looked a little rough. So if y'all can just check the timing on that section, that would be awesome. Um, everybody else, okay, so remember our elementary at the beginning, they have their little dances and then they exit. And then there's another middle high group one, I believe, does their little thing and then they exit with the elementary. But then all of y'all come back onto the risers right before the kick line section. So what happened is not everybody got there, but everybody seemed to be entering from stage right on the risers. And so there was like this big traffic jam and not everybody could move to get on the risers. So here's what I would like for us to do. And I'll see if we can maybe just go over this at some point on Saturday. But whatever side that you enter at the beginning of Be Our Guest, so if you enter from purple at the beginning of Be Our Guest, or you enter from blue at the beginning of Be Our Guest, I want you to enter the risers from those same sides. You should have plenty of time after your exit um, to go back and prepare and get in those positions again. Because what needs to happen is when y'all enter the risers, I need people coming from both sides. Otherwise, again, it's going to create that big traffic jam that happened last night. So, elementary and middle high group one, whatever side you enter for the beginning of Be Our Guest, that is the side you also need to enter for the riser section for your kick lines. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let us move on. Um, Princess Medley. Okay, so True Love's Kiss, my princesses, y'all need to come out just a little bit earlier to make sure that you're in those spots in plenty of time to start singing. It's okay if you're coming out in that silhouette and then, if you need to freeze before the lights come on, you can do that too. But y'all need to come out just a scooch earlier. That way you've got plenty of time to be ready. Also, because you're Disney princesses, we need those expressions and those actions and things you're doing to be just much bigger and a little more animated and over the top. So Leah and Kate, I know we didn't have like, excuse me, when we were running your part, we didn't have extra things for y'all to use. Most likely what's going to happen is y'all are going to have rags. I mean, if I can find the feather duster, you might be able to use that. But I think last time I found it, it was like shedding really bad with the feathers. So you'll either have a rag or you'll have a Swiffer duster. Okay. Um, and remember, you're using the microphone stands, you're dusting those. It's a little bit of a joke, but it's also like you can also pretend that there's something else. You know, maybe it's a shelf with a bunch of little like figurines or something on it that you're dusting. My point is, when you're standing in front of those microphone stands, y'all are kind of standing there almost like you're singing into the microphone. And you don't need to do that because y'all are on lofts. You have a lot more freedom to move around. You can bend down a little bit to clean the bottom of the mic stand because we're still going to hear you because you're on those lofts. So just kind of make your movements do a little bit more instead of just standing there like cleaning just one little spot. Like pretend it's an actual thing. Again, if you want to pretend it's shelves of a bookshelf or something that requires more cleaning in different levels, go ahead and do that. Whatever you need to pretend that thing is to clean, go ahead and do that. So anyways, just wanted to give you that note. My woodland creatures, when my elementary woodland creatures, when all of y'all are coming out to join the princesses, make sure that all of y'all have your animal headbands on. I think there was maybe one or two of you that came out without a headband, and they might have been people who weren't back there when we were discussing where those were. But anyways, I just want to make sure everyone has on an animal headband um, when you come out. Also, my woodland creatures, make sure that when you guys come out, you're also very excited and animated too when you go and dance around with your princesses. And remember to sing out. Y'all sounded really good on your part. Just remember to sing out even more because you're moving around so much. Okay, next part, happy little working song. So we've got those three set pieces. Um, the table is fine as far as like moving that because that's like heavy duty sturdy wood. But the bathroom sets, so they're like there's the toilet set and then there's the bathtub set. When y'all are moving those, please be really careful about where you hold them because they are made of cardboard. Now it's heavy duty cardboard, but still, the bathtub set has wooden brackets on the back. If when you're moving that set, you can use those wooden pieces to move it, that would be much better because if you just grab it by the flimsy cardboard part, eventually that stuff's going to break. So on the back of the bathtub, if you can use the wooden brackets to move that, that would be awesome. And then on the back of the toilet set, it doesn't have wooden brackets, but there's like two taller pieces. There's the taller part of the toilet and then the taller part of the toilet paper stand. On the back of those, I've added extra reinforced cardboard there. So if you can grab those reinforced pieces when you're moving that toilet, again, that'll make it to where the cardboard doesn't break. So anyways, if y'all can just grab those reinforced areas when you're moving the sets on and off, that would be awesome. I think that's all for that. Ah, so my moving on to Bippity Boppity Boo. Uh my mice, y'all did really, really well. And I know that was only the second time that you performed that on stage. We just need to review a couple spots on your choreo because what happened was last night we forgot to do this part and went right into the spin first. You got to remember that when you're lifting your wheels up and down, that comes first, and then you go into your grapevine turn. All right, so just review your choreo. I've got the video right here for you to click on. um when your parents look at this document, they can just click right on that directly. I think the other things were fine. Let's move on to Tangled. So for I See the Light, I know we kind of touched a little bit on this earlier, but I'll go ahead and talk about that here in a second. Lucy and Trenton, if y'all can interact just a little bit more in that scene. I know it's difficult because y'all are just kind of stationary on those two microphones, and then all the dancers are doing things like behind you. But if there's little moments when you're necessarily not singing to where you could kind of look back at the lights, like cheat out just a little bit. You don't want to put your back totally towards the audience, but you can keep a little bit of your body towards the audience and move your neck back a little bit to watch the lights. Now, especially for Lucy, because you're Rapunzel, her whole thing was getting out and seeing those lights that she's, wanted to see all of her entire life. So if you can find moments to look back and just like, oh my goodness, I'm finally seeing the things I've always wanted to see my entire life, then that would be great. And Trenton, while she's looking at these lights and marveling at how awesome and wonderful they are, you can be looking at her a little bit because you're kind of singing about how you're falling in love with her. So you can look at her a little bit um, while she's marveling at the lights and all that jazz. So, anyways, if y'all can just interact just a little bit more, that would be nice. Um, Okay, like I said, we talked about this a little bit. This is one of the songs where the vocalists, where not everybody needs to completely wait until the silhouette is done. This is one of the ones where y'all may have to piece out just a little bit earlier because we need to make room for the vocalist for the next song because it goes into it pretty quickly. So just Trenton and Lucy. I see you. After y'all are done singing together, you're holding hands for just a little bit. Then go ahead and start putting your mics down. Okay. And then, and then maybe right as that silhouette comes, y'all can peace out. I know normally we wait for the full silhouette to come out, but I think y'all might have to leave just a little bit earlier so that those vocalists for I Have a Dream can come out just a little earlier. So all my vocalists for I Have a Dream, make sure you come out a little earlier, get to your mics so that you have plenty of time to sing your first line. All right. And that's what we're covering right there. Okay. Um, Izzy is bringing on the floater RF. So Miss Izzy, just remember to get that RF from the back stand, upstage right by the risers. Make sure you bring that microphone with you. And then when you're done with I Have a Dream, make sure you put that microphone back on that stand because Ben is going to need it there for one of the songs in Beauty and the Beast. So we just want to make sure that that mic is there for him when he needs it. So yeah, just remember to bring that mic out and then to put it back on that stand when you're done. All of my vocalists need to review your lyrics for this song. Now I know this song it's pretty difficult as far as there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of character work going on. But just review your lyrics and your tracks just a little bit before Saturday so we can smooth out some of those vocals. Because it's a really, really funny song. And the more comfortable y'all are with those vocals, the better it's gonna be. So anyways, yeah, just work on that. I've got the lyrics link right here. So you've got that to work with. All right, let's move on to Beauty and the Beast. Uh my townspeople that are saying bonjour, y'all got to be way louder. Like I barely heard maybe two or three people there. I couldn't tell who they were, but I could barely hear them. So y'all have got to be way, way louder for those bonjours so we can hear them. Also, all the townspeople, and this is like in the entire medley, all the townspeople are singing on all the group vocal sections. Even if you're a dancer and there are group vocals in the track, you are singing that as well. I've got the lyric sheets here to tell, because it tells exactly when everybody's supposed to be singing. So just review those so that you know when you're supposed to be singing. Now, I know some of my dancers that are doing some more complicated moves. Y'all may not able to be physically vocalizing while you're doing your stuff, but at least learn the lyrics so that you can mouth the words because it just looks really weird when we have these vocals. Because we will have some of the track there to help y'all. We call them sweeteners. They're background vocals to help strengthen the vocals, but it looks really, really weird when you have all these vocals coming through the speakers and nobody's mouths are moving. It just looks really silly. So at least if nothing else, at least learn the lyrics and mouth the words. And this is for everybody that is in group stuff in Beauty and the Beast. Okay. So again, all townspeople sing on all the group stuff. There's the lyrics. I have the same note again here for Gaston. um, Oh, there may be something there that wasn't there before. Faith, I know at some point you go over with Graceland. But I noticed last night that there's a point when you put your mic down and you're standing there, you've got like plenty of room. So you can go over to her even a little bit sooner. Um, and that way it doesn't feel as rushed when you have to go and share that mic with her. So maybe just leave a little bit sooner um to go over to Graceland so y'all can share that moment and then use that mic. For Kill the Beast, Ben, just remember to get the floater RF for that one. And then once you're done with that song, just make sure to put that RF back on that stand um, where you got it. Again, another note, townspeople, I'll make sure you're singing in all the group places. My townspeople soloists in Kill the Beast, make sure you get to your mics much sooner because last night we missed those vocals because y'all didn't get out to your mics quick enough. So just much sooner, go ahead and get to those mics. That way you're ready to go when it's your time to sing. Because we don't want people to miss your great solos. So just make sure you're there and ready to go. Uh oh, Tales Old as Time. My vocalist, my Mrs. Potts vocalist, at the very end of the song, make sure that y'all cut off at the same time. Like some people were holding them out really long, someone cut off a little sooner. Like nobody was cutting off at the same time. So if we need to get together on Saturday to get exact counts on that, we can do that. But make sure that everybody cuts off at the same time. That way it's a good, clean, crisp ending. It'll really be beautiful end to that song. All right. Shrek. Pardon me. Uh, all my storytellers and my soloists. So that's my ogre, soloists, and my storytellers. Y'all need to come out on stage much sooner. I know we originally, as soon as the music goes to the little twinkly fairy tale music, I don't know how else to better describe it. That's when we were having y'all come out, but I think y'all need to come out just a little bit sooner to make sure because now we've got mics that are moving a little more than we originally thought. Just make sure that you come out a little sooner so that you're there and you're ready to go in plenty of time to get those storyteller narratives and those ogre vocals. Um, Maddie, um, just remember to grab that floater RF from the back stand. I think there was an issue last night where at that moment it wasn't there. But anyways, just it should be there. And just make sure that you grab that floater RF for your storyteller. And then once Big Bright Beautiful World is done, make sure you return that RF to its stand back there so that whoever needs it next will know where it is. Um, all my storytellers and my soloists just review your lyrics. We had a little bit, it seemed like there was a little bit of confusion with who was doing what or exactly when things happen. So just there's your lyric sheet right there. Just make sure to review those lyrics in your tracks so that you know exactly what you're saying. I know it's today, Amaris, there is that green storybook. And I know this was the first time we actually had it with us. So if you can just remember that green storybook with the gold pages, that's what you need to bring out with you for the beginning of I Know It's Today. And then you pass it to Anna as y'all transition into her solo. So if you can just remember to bring that storybook out, that'll be great. um, morning, pardon me, morning person. Lucy, make sure to get that floater RF. So Maddie has the floater RF for Big Bright Beautiful World. Once she's done, she's going to put it back on that stand where it goes in the back of the stage. And then you make sure that you grab that same mic for Pied Piper so that we can hear all of your lines when you come out. All right. And then Lucy, once you're done with that RF and you exit, make sure that you put it back on that stand as well. Um, let's see. I'm a believer. Yeah. So my I'm a believer vocalist. Overall, that one went pretty well. There was just a couple spots where it seemed like y'all might not have been 100% on your lyrics or like if it was your turn to sing. So just review those to make sure you're good and confident for that on Saturday. But like overall, that one sounded pretty good, but there was just a couple uncertainties because I saw it on some of y'all's faces. You were like, I don't know. So just practice that so that you're good and confident for Saturday. Little Mermaid. Ah, so my sailors, I forgot to tell y'all because there were so many props that we have. Oh my goodness. There, pardon me. There are sailor hats backstage for y'all to wear. They should be in a little box that has Solomon's rag prop in it, but there's like 4 or 5 white sailor hats that y'all can wear. I know it's not the right time period for those particular types of sailor hats, but it'll still work just fine. So if you can have those sailor hats on, that way the audience knows for sure that your sailor's working on a ship. That would be great. Um, so there's that. My ocean transition, see, I went up too far. My ocean transition elementary school of fish. Try to make your movements just a little smoother because y'all are you're supposed to be a school of fish. So if you've seen like Finding Nemo or if you've watched any like National Geographic underwater stuff where you see like a bunch of fish moving together as one. They do so very smoothly. So if y'all can just remember at that moment, your characters are fish. So you want to try to make your movements really flowy and together. If you even need to put your hands like this to kind of help you get that flowy motion, that'll be great. Y'all looked really adorable with all of your fish headbands and hats. So just remember to have all that stuff and just make your movements just a little smoother so y'all look more like fish instead of humans. Okay. Um, for part of your world, um, because I know Gabby comes out for Poor Unfortunate Souls and y'all kind of interact. Gabby, can you come out just a little bit earlier? So like part of your world will end and then you can come out a little bit earlier to take that microphone from Ariel. And then for Poor Unfortunate Souls, if y'all can react, or excuse me, interact with each other a little bit more. Um, so Gabby, it is a solo, but now that you have Ariel there with you, you kind of need to be singing some of this stuff to her because in the movie, she's Ursula is like telling this stuff to Ariel and then also telling some of it to Flotsam and Jetsam as well. But she's interacting with Ariel and she's kind of telling her what's going down and all that stuff. So just try like look at Ariel a little bit more, kind of walk around her a little bit more, telling her what's going on and stuff like that. Just so it's not because last night Avery didn't know what to do for a lot of the time because there wasn't a lot of interaction going on. So just make sure y'all are doing more of that together. Um, anyways. Oh, okay. So Gabby, when you're done with Poor Unfortunate Souls, make sure you put your RF back on that back stand where it goes because you have the floater RF. Now, I know you have to dance in Under the Sea, so you may not quite have enough time. If that's the case, then make sure to pass your mic off to one of the adult stage crew members, either Miss Danielle or Miss Caroline. Um, but I think you'll have time to put the RF back on its stand before you have to go to your spot to come in for Under the Sea. Anyways, just we'll figure that out on Saturday morning. But if you've got the time to put it on that stand yourself, go ahead and do that. Then Trenton, um, so Trenton, your RF that you're on is actually mic 3 that's on the front line. That's the one I give to you. In real life, I'll probably give it to you during intermission. That way you'll have it. But you need to remember to bring it with you for Under the Sea. And once you're done singing Under the Sea, you need to put that microphone on the front in the mic 3 stand. Okay. So just remember after Under the Sea, you have to take that RF mic and have to put it on the front because that's not the floater RF. That's the mic 3 RF on the front stage. So just remember to do that for Under the Sea. All right. Moving on to Moana. How far I'll go, Moana soloists. I know that last night y'all had learned a few new little just movements and things to make your solos have a little bit more going on. So I realized that was going on, but there did seem like there were some of you who were not certain of all of your lyrics. So just make sure that you're reviewing those lyrics so you feel good and ready for Saturday. And there's the link right there. Um, for Shiny, my vocalists, which is Miss Roxy and Miss Lindley, y'all need to come out much sooner so that you're at your mics. I would say as soon as that music starts, y'all go and run to your mics. I know like the dancers come out a little after that, but because y'all are singing and you have your lines like pretty quickly after the song starts, y'all need to be out there much earlier. So Miss Roxy, Miss Lindley, just make sure as soon as you hear that music start for Shiny, y'all go straight to your mics. All right. Then Song of the Ancestors. um all all of the elementary are on the risers for this, but all of my middle high dancers that are in your welcome, y'all are also singing in this song. um Now I know we've talked about that a few times, and most of the time I think when we have run this, we ran it at least maybe once. I don't know. So it may be that just people forgot, but there were a lot of middle high that were not on stage last night for that choral section. And I need all of those voices. So just make sure if you are a middle high dancer and you're welcome, which should be everybody, all the middle high, then y'all also need to be on stage for Song of the Ancestors to fill out that choral, those choral vocals. And make sure that y'all spread out on stage, because there were the few of you that were out there were really like huddled in front of the risers. So there was like all of this empty stage and it just felt very empty. So we just need to make sure that y'all spread out more and have good, strong choral vocals on that one. Again, there's lyrics right there for you to look at. Okay, for your welcome. This was the first time with us using that ginormous Maui hook. It looks so cool on stage, but I also forgot how big it was. So everybody on stage just needs to be mindful of that. Ben's got that in one hand and he's got an RF in the other hand. So Ben, I know you're trying to navigate that as carefully as possible. Be mindful of those around you. Everyone else also be mindful of that hook. Just watch it because, you know, like I said, it's very large and Ben is doing what he can to try not to hit anybody. But everybody just needs to be mindful of spatially where that's going so that nobody gets hurt. Um, let's see. Oh, so Ben is on the floater RF for that. Um, so Ben, as soon as your welcome is done, it goes to silhouette. You need to make sure that that RF gets put back on that stand, uh, and at the back by the risers. If you don't have time, because I know after that there's like maybe one song that you have to quick change, then give it to one of the adult stage crew members, like Danielle or Caroline. Um, I think you'll have time to at least put it on the stand and then put the hook away and go change. I think you'll have time. But if not, we'll just let us know on Saturday if there's not enough time so that one of the crew members knows to get it from you. Just make sure if you can't put it on the stand that you give it to one of the adults. That way they can put it on the stand for you. All right, let's move on to Jungle Medley. Bare necessities. So my dancers for bare necessities, we need y'all to review your choreo. Just a little bit. So you're supposed to be in two lines. If you're entering from the purple side, that means you're in the front row. And if you're entering from blue, that means you're in the back line. So remember, there's two lines. So purple goes to the front, blue goes to the back. So here are the videos. There's the breakdown Miss Danielle did, and then there's that run that we did on stage as well. So just review those videos so that you're in the right spots and everybody's moves are nice and clean all together. Because that song, that dance is like really super cute. So just make sure that you know all of your moves and that you're really animated. Because you never know, there might be a little kid out in the audience that's their absolute favorite song, and they may be so totally excited to see all your dance moves. So just think about it from that perspective. Just be really excited and animated, because it is a really, really fun number. All right, moving on. My Own Home. So this was another number last night where we couldn't find the RF on the stand. So hopefully it should be on the stand by this point. So Miss Vera, just remember to get that RF from the stand, the floater RF. You'll do your song, and then when you're done, because I know you go into Hakuna Matata pretty quickly after that. So if you don't have enough time to put that mic back on its stand, then make sure you give it to one of the adults crew members. I think the RF you ended up using, I think you didn't know what to do with it because we hadn't talked about it. So I think it was left on the floor in the wings. Just make sure that when you're done, that if you don't have time to put it on the stand, give it to one of the adults, either Mr. Jackson, Miss Caroline, or Miss Danielle. If Miss Emma is there, you can give it to her too, but I think Miss Emma will only be with us on Saturday. So just keep that in mind. If you don't have time to put it back on the stand, make sure to give it to one of the adults. All right, moving on. All right, our last medley, Keely's medley. Oh, pardon me. All the muses have your mic in hand before striking your first pose. Oh, okay. So at the beginning of Gospel Truth, when the muses come out, y'all strike a pose and then you turn to start singing. Not everyone had their mic in their hand when that happened, and so when it came that time for you to sing, you had to like go and grab the microphone and like cues were missed. So all my muses, just make sure when you go out there, go ahead and take your mic off of the stand and then strike your first pose so that the mic is already there ready to go when it's your time to sing. That was my only note on that one. Oh, Trenton, this is something I forgot to tell you. Again, we have so many like props and things I just forgot. There's a Phil headband back there. So it's a brown headband with with horns and ears, um, kind of like what Phil had in Hercules. So it's back there on the prop table. You'll need to wear that for One Last Hopes and also for Zero to Hero. So just make sure that you've got that on. And if I can remember to point it out to you on Saturday, I will. But anyways, that was my fault. I forgot to tell you that that was there. Um, I won't say. So the muses, pardon me, the muses in this need to be in tighter clumps around Leah. And you also need to move a little faster on your crosses, kind of like a flutter, but with attitude because you're muses. So because you're muses, y'all are kind of in a way like ethereal. Megara doesn't really necessarily see you, but you're like around her, telling the story and doing things. So just make your movements very, very flowy and fluttery, but also depending on your character, you need to have some attitude of some sort. So just keep that in mind, depending on what your muse character is. Oh, so I know spacing can be awkward because there's 5 muses. So what happened last night is poor Madden was like directly behind Leah through a lot of those clumps, and she was getting a little lost. So Madden, if you can't, hi kitty kitty. Sorry, my cat has decided to join us. Um, if you can make sure that you're just a little more to Leah's left, that way you're not completely blocked by her. Um, when all of that stuff's going on. That was really my main note on that. I was like, oh, poor Madden keeps getting blocked. So yeah, if you can just make sure that you're a little more to her left instead of directly behind her, that way you can be seen more. All right, Zero to Hero, final number, y'all. Okay, I know this song. This song is a beast. It really is, but it's so cool. And overall, really, the Hercules medley sounded amazing. Um, there were a few of my soloists, muse soloists especially, in Zero to Hero. Y'all were not 100% on your lyrics. So again, just review your lyrics make sure that when it's your time, because I know this song's difficult also because you've got multiple solos, and then there's parts when you're singing together, and then other parts where other solos are happening. So just really review those lyrics and just remember those sections where you're singing and what your actual lyrics are for those particular spots. For my my vase dancers, there will be 3 vases on Saturday. I just ran out of time making the other 2, but there will be 3. Rest assured, don't worry. Um, so Izzy, because I know Amaris comes out for her solo right after you do Who'da Thunk. And I didn't think about this at the time because I know I told the muses to like hold their mics and do motions and stuff. So what I think will probably need to happen is instead of you putting the mic back on the stand, because I don't think you'll have time before Amaris comes out, what you can do is right after you say, and who'da thunk, you can just pass your mic to Amaris. She'll grab it when she comes out. She'll sing her part, Who Put the Gliding Gladiator? And then she'll pass it back to you. And then you'll just carry on like you were doing before. I think that's probably the smoothest way we'll get that transition done. So we'll try that on Saturday, and I'll try to make sure that I talk to Amaris about that. So anyways, I think that'll make that part smoother. Um, all my dancers, oh, just review your choreo. And really, it's mostly for the very end section when everybody's all together. You know, when y'all are coming out doing that gospel clap, and then we're going into the final section where everybody's there. During that section, because that's right after the elementary have danced, everybody needs to start spreading out. So elementary doesn't necessarily need to all be in the front at that point because they've just had their own dance. So what I would like some more of the middle high to kind of sprinkle in the front as well, so that it's a little bit more of a mix of middle high and elementary instead of just all the elementary. So at that point, we just need to make sure everybody spreads out more and that we're sprinkling more of the middle high in with the elementary. That way, everybody's kind of spread out a little bit more. Um, because everybody was still kind of clumped up back towards the risers, and we need to fill out that entire stage. So just y'all have tons of time during that gospel clapping section to like really move downstage and fill out that area. So just keep that in mind. Here's the link to the video if you need a refresher on what happens there. Okay. Thank you for bearing with me. I know this was a lot of notes and a lot of things to think about. But again, overall, y'all had a very good dress rehearsal, and I think things are going to be great for Saturday. And just remember in the meantime, get plenty of rest. I know there's been a lot of sickness going on, so please rest, drink lots of fluids, and take care. Thank y'all so much.